All right. So, can everyone see my intro slide? Perfect. Okay, so the Virtual Student Federal Service is the internship program that I'm helping to manage right now. I'm actually the interim program manager, and we just had my replacement come on board. I will still be here to help at least through March, but Molly Kress will be running the program moving forward. Um, our program actually started in 2009, so it has a decent history here with the State Department. And it started as the Virtual Student Foreign Service Program, introduced by former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. And in, I think, around like 2016 or so, really started expanding across the federal government. So the State Department maintained administrative ownership of the matching process and invited our interagency partners to begin to submit projects for our students. So eligibility in our program is dependent on students being US citizens, and they can be full-time or part-time, do need to have a high school diploma, but we accept students who are in an undergrad program. It can even be community college part-time. That's totally fine, all the way through up, law school, PhD candidates. So just student status is the determinant. And they should be students. They should be planning to be students for the entire academic year. Um, so when we get questions, I'm graduating early. What should I do? They should not be applying to our program. Our mentors are expecting them to be able to commit to the entire 9 months. Things come up, status changes for students who were not expecting to graduate early, or I know when we change semesters, it's happening right now, some of our students find that their workload has changed, and so they do let us know that they need to drop out. So that status, can change, but we want them to be able to commit for that 9-month period. One of the neat things I think about our program that's different from really any program I'm aware of at the State Department is students can be studying overseas. So students who plan to study overseas or are overseas currently are welcome to apply. State Department does have internships where we send students to post. That's a different situation. This is independent of this internship. Students are welcome to be studying overseas. And if you didn't know by the name, of course, it's all virtual. So there's no expectation that the students are ever in person. If they happen to be in the same location as their mentors, they're welcome to get together with them in person, but it's never expected. So for the most part, our students are working on unclassified projects, and I think that's pretty much the case across the board. We do have some agencies, not the State Department, other agencies that might have a background check or other type of onboarding process, but in general, the students should not be expecting to get a security clearance. They are not considered employees of the federal government. They are unpaid volunteers. So this internship is unpaid, but students are eligible for course credit. We've also seen students have success in being able to use work study in tandem, or use this program for their work study commitment. We are expecting about 10 hours per week from September through May, and that is meant to be flexible. So we encourage the students to communicate with their mentor up front. When do they have their finals? When are they planning to take vacation? Are they going to be working over the holiday break? And then to let their mentor know the weeks that they have more availability. So, maybe 1 week they have less, 1 week more. We do not require the students or the mentors to track hours. Some of the students who are getting course credit might be required to do that per their university or work study. But from a programmatic perspective, we are not tracking their hours. We do encourage the students to keep track, though, because their mentors are going to be providing that reference in the future. And so we do encourage them to keep track of their tasks so that both mentor and student are able to look back on the program and to be able to speak about what they've accomplished. So this program is primarily a recruitment tool for the federal government. We do not have a guaranteed entry to the federal government like some of the other programs that exist, but we do our best to provide networking and some experience in by way of the mentors for navigating the bureaucracy of applying for federal service. Now, students do not need to be committing to applying to the federal government. I mean, that is not the point here. If that is in their future, that's great. You know, for our undergrads, perhaps they're not really thinking of where they want to work quite yet. For our more experienced students, perhaps they're ready. They're already their resume's ready, and they're ready to apply. And either way, this is a great program for those students, no matter where they are in their academic career. Our mentors do want to provide work experience for the students. They also want some assistance in some of the things, the research projects that they have that always kind of take lower priority because of the day-to-day things they're doing. And our students are so great at taking ideas, running with them, providing insight, and providing that feedback, and really giving everyone in the project, a fulfilling experience. For students, of course, it's accessible. Like, as I said, it's virtual. And of course, that makes it very affordable. There's no expectation that they need to travel anywhere, change their lodging or anything like that. And already mentioned course credit. Go ahead to the next slide. So who are going to be the mentors? They could be government employees, full-time employees at the federal government. They may be contractors. They're going to have 2 assigned mentors, but they can expect to be working with pretty much everyone that the mentor introduces them to in the office. So they're going to be introduced to more than just that specific supervisor or mentor. We also offer professional development opportunities, so the students can also expect to have a broad network of contacts should they seek that out. So this is a sample of the agencies that we work with, and as you can see, it's a very broad in subject matter. So we really do, I think, have something for everyone, from students in law school. We have, with NIH, so the medical field, to all of our agencies. Now, I will say we are about 60% offering internships. About 60% of them come from the State Department, but right now we have like 500 projects currently going on. So you can imagine, and all of those internships vary for how many students they have. So, the students, when they go to apply for these internships, they're going to be able to use keyword searches and things. So I really encourage, no matter what their field is, even if they're not seeking employment with the federal government, this could be a great experience to broaden their horizons. Okay, once again, our schedule, as I said, students are applying right now. So I can provide links and whatnot. I'm also going to, I think we're going to email out to you a brochure. We are in Handshake as well. So those of you who work with Handshake, I can give you I don't know if I don't actually use Handshake that much, but I know there's like a number associated with it. In March and April, our mentors are going to be evaluating the applications. So we expect that students will be notified by May if they have been selected for an internship. And we also have a process this next cycle where if a student is not selected, the mentors still seeking applicants will be able to look through the database. So they may be contacted by a mentor from an internship they didn't apply to. And if agreed to by both parties, they're welcome to take another internship. They are limited to 5 from their applications, though. The internships run from September through May. And I think I can put these links in the chat. Our email is vsfs@state.gov. We handle any programmatic questions. The platform where students go to apply is called Open Opportunities. It's built on the USA Jobs platform. And then we have social media handles, which I can also share with you. And screen is paused. Stop share. All right, I think that is all I have. So we can open up for questions if anyone has them. Otherwise, I can start putting some of our links in the chat.
Thank you, Gwen. So yes, please ask your questions. You're welcome to also unmute and come on camera and ask your question or include them in the chat. I'd like to ask, there were some questions submitted in advance, and one of them had to do with Gwen, if DACA students can join.
Students have to be US citizens. So I think DACA would mean they're not US citizens, correct?
But they might have, yes, but I think they have special status, so I'm not sure if they would be able to.
Sorry, I don't have a good answer for that.
Oh, I see some things in the chat. So Marie is asking a question. She works with students in public policy, and they must have a policy-focused internship. Are there any specific recommendations?
So the best thing for them to do is just to go and look in a keyword search and all of the internships that we have.
Okay. Is there anything that can help a student stand out as an applicant in such a competitive pool?
Sure. So each mentor is going to be evaluating all of the applicants. So it's a very, specific, we don't have like a panel that's kind of like evaluating and passing on or I know some internships, they'll kind of like rank and they'll pass on those or help them match. We provide the platform and students apply. Up to 300 students can apply to each internship, and then the mentors are going to evaluate those on their own. Some of them, especially those who get a lot of a lot of applicants, they'll have a panel who will evaluate, and they will reach out and just let the student know that they've been accepted and offer them the role, and the student is open then to accept. Some will reach out and ask for an interview, depending on how much time they have, and the students are prompted to upload their references. I know mentors they should expect that their references will be called. So when I talk to students, because students ask this question a lot, of course, and what I think is important is that each application is unique. So just like applying for employment anywhere, your cover letter, right, should be catered. Your resume even should be catered to that position. So that would be my recommendation, is that the students do not prepare kind of a canned application and just copy and paste into each of the applications. They should really be talking about why they think that their interests or their experience match with what the mentor is looking for. And then to make sure that they talk to their references ahead of time and get their permission to be listed as a reference. Believe it or not, I'm sure that happens more than just in our program, but we have had students provide references that were not positive. And that, you know, unfortunately, that is not going to put the student in a good light. So yes, those are my recommendations on what students can do to prepare and to have the best application possible. I would say also pay attention to what the mentor is looking for. Some are very specific about what they're looking for. Some are looking for graduate students. Some are looking specifically for students that have certain experience. So while I encourage you to shoot for the stars, I think also be realistic about, you know, who you're up against, because you have 5 to choose from. And for those projects that are looking for more experience in certain, you know, in certain areas, if you aren't qualified, really take that into consideration when you're choosing your 5.
Thanks for those tips. Along the same line of just as part of the application, there's a question, should students apply with a federal resume?
So it's not required. I would, I actually don't have a good answer for this, whether or not students should use a federal resume. Federal resumes tend to be very long, and since it's not necessary, I wouldn't say that students should use a federal resume. If that's what they have and they want to use it, it will be accepted. But I think short and sweet is good for this process, because like I said, the mentors are evaluating on their own. Sometimes they just have a couple people on their office who are looking through these applications, and for their benefit, it would be nice to have, you know, the standard resume as opposed to the federal resume. But if a student uploads their federal resume, that will be accepted.
Okay, I'm going to encourage you to keep putting your questions in the chat, or feel free to raise your hand. Oh, I see Rachel. Would you like to ask a question?
Oh, no, I was just putting a thumbs up for the answer to my chat. Thank you.
Sorry. Yeah, so please ask your questions. We certainly can end early, but this is a terrific opportunity. So I'm just going to encourage you to ask questions or put them in the chat. I'll ask another one, Gwen. I just want to, if you can share a little bit more about what reviewers are looking for. I know you shared some tips. You want to have, you know, it's important to have to sort of make the connection for the reviewer that you have the qualifications, but anything else that you might share about what reviewers are particularly looking for?
So that really varies. So I can't say specifically. The mentors reviewing, if they are specifically looking for certain experience, they're going to list it in the project. But one thing I will say is that this program is very conscious of DEIA principles. We do not, it's going to be on the students' transcripts and on their resume where they are students, but it is not actually part of the application. So students who are in community college should definitely feel confident applying to these internships. Our mentors, are not going in and seeing the colleges and filtering and picking our Ivy League colleges. That was actually one of the foundations of how they designed this program, is they didn't want students to be identified by the institution. And so that's one thing, as far as inclusion and diversity, that was important to when this program was founded.
Any questions for Gwen? Oh, there's a question from Carmen. Are there particular skills that are often in demand or shorter supply to help advisors know what kinds of students to point in this direction?
Okay, yes. So I will tell you, in the last cycle, we had, I think, 7 projects that did not get applicants. They were all with the Foreign Service Institute, and they were for students who are native language speakers of our more, I will say, obscure languages. So, and I've mentioned this a few times, and I should go back and verify which languages those are. But if a student is a native language speaker, there will be opportunities for them to intern with the Foreign Service Institute. Some other experience or I will say skills that I notice a lot of mentors are looking for. Mentors often look for content creation, whether or not that's on social media or for just print media, websites. They're looking for students to do research. So I see often that mentors have an idea for a project. You know, we'd love to do this research and come up with the analysis, and then, you know, for their viewership, I shouldn't say customers, but whoever their audience is. So that is in high demand. We see communications, marketing along that same vein, very popular. So yeah, so I would say that is, but you know, we have already over 400 projects available, so it's really going to be a wide variety of projects. Okay, so sorry about that. It is not on USA Jobs specifically. It's called Open Opportunities, and let me pull for you. This is where the students apply. Critical need languages. Thank you. I am not a foreign service officer, so I'm sorry. I don't have that language. I am going to use that. Critical need languages. I'm going to put that in my vernacular. Are the applications, postings, and deadlines on the same? Our schedule. So the schedule's actually changed. I used to have the students apply in apply in July. The mentors were posting projects in June, but the matching happening in August was not giving the mentors enough time to prepare for the fall. And so we were seeing the matching happening well into September and October. And for a variety of reasons, we've chosen to change the schedule. We anticipate that this schedule will be the same moving forward. So the schedule is likely, I can't say for sure, but likely to be similar or the same next year. And it aligns with some other internship programs with the State Department. So in general, programs are looking for students to apply in advance, well in advance of the start, right? So like for the student internship program, which is an internship program in person here at the State Department, they have the same schedule we do. So the students are applying right now for that program to be interns in the fall.
Yeah, I'll definitely add that it's been super helpful for the change in application deadline, because by the time the applications were up in July, students were already off campus, so it was hard to get the word out.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So on that point, that speaking back to the DEIA principles, actually another reason that we changed the schedule is that we wanted students to be able to apply while they're at school. And so if there are any students who have a more reliable, you know, access to applying, whether or not that's Wi-Fi or just, you know, however, the schools are providing those students resourcing. We wanted them to be able to do that while they're on campus for those students who live on campus. And to that point of, you know, they're on break for the summer. It's absolutely right, in that it's not only the interns, the students who are going to be on break for the summer, but also our mentors. In August, if anyone's familiar in the DC area, everyone leaves in August. It has been that way, you know, Congress is out and it's just kind of a quiet time. And so I think that's another reason that our matching would run into the fall is a lot of the mentors would be out of the office during that August timeframe. So we're hoping that this schedule, though I know that it was kind of a change definitely and perhaps kind of a surprise, we're hoping that we've done a good job with communication in that we aren't going to disappoint everyone. All of our current students who are interns are fully aware, and I had some info sessions with universities. And like I said, we've posted on Handshake to every single university that we can.
Thank you. I'm not seeing questions. I think please include your questions. This is a terrific opportunity. As I mentioned, knowing that they don't apply through USA Jobs is great for me to know as well. I see Carmen with a question.
Actually, Loredana, it's a question for you. You've mentioned that you've had some students selected as VSFS interns, and I was wondering how you got their attention to get them to apply, and separately, if there were any frequently asked questions that you get from students that other advisors should know who maybe haven't had students selected before.
Some students learned about the opportunity on their own, and others I was sharing as much as possible during the fall term, knowing that by the time the applications were up, it was too late to reach them. So I just mentioned it as much as possible because I heard that students had a great experience. They really appreciated it. They mentioned the mentoring was terrific. But I didn't have any particular questions. I just learned more about their experience. Yeah, so I don't know if that's helpful, but they really appreciated the mentorship and the flexibility as well during the term. Like if they had, you know, a busy exam season, they knew that they could work with their mentors.
I actually have a question for our university partners. Do you repost on social media? So we have LinkedIn, Instagram. I know students don't really use Facebook. I don't know about Twitter X anymore, but Instagram and LinkedIn I think are very popular. And so I was just curious, we do have posts. So if, you know, I'm curious if you do repost anything for your university, or if you can have someone, whoever's in charge of your social media accounts, that's a great option maybe for you to reach students, is to amplify the posts we have and repost on your social media channels.
That's a great idea. And Rachel mentioned that she does repost.
And then the other thing, okay, perfect. Yes, please amplify our social media posts. Everything that the students need are there. We also have a link tree that's in our Instagram bio, which like feels silly. Link is in the bio, like I'm an influencer, but it's true. Instagram doesn't let you post the links. So in our bio, we have our link tree with a ton. All of the links that I've shared are in our bio. And we also, I'm going to share with you a brochure. So if any of you are using actual email distros, that's something, everything's included there. So you can send them an infographic on the program.
Yeah, there's some good responses in the chat, Gwen, that people are posting in different ways.
Perfect. Our newsletter.
And if anyone else has experience to share based on their students participating in this, please do so. This is, it's, you know, we learn from each other. So this is, it would be helpful. Gwen, do you have any final words, anything that you think would be, that you haven't said that would be helpful?
Okay, so I actually do have one more question. As I've mentioned, I'm not very familiar with how Handshake works. So if anybody can explain to me exactly what happens with Handshake, because as a follow-up to that question, we noticed some universities declined because it was unpaid, which I can understand on the surface. If a university were to say we don't accept unpaid internships for our students, but given the flexibility of our program and then it's all virtual and it's part-time, only 10 hours per week, just curious if, you know, how Handshake exactly works, how you amplify on Handshake, or do you? And then if you have any recommendations regarding the fact that universities did decline based on the unpaid aspect of the internship.
So there is one response in the chat. Our school doesn't use Handshake. It's probably one of the few schools that doesn't, so I'll defer to my colleagues on the screen here.
Mm. Okay.
Abby?
Yeah, hey guys. So Rice just switched to 1220, which is very similar to Handshake. I can't say exactly how those things get vetted. One idea might be for you to go through like individual departments. So a lot of times when we see opportunities that might be very tailored towards specific majors, that's one way to kind of help get the message out, is to look for like the major advisor, or somebody that might have a little bit like closer connection with the students. Another group on campus we have is the Baker Institute Student Forum. So just students who are sort of naturally more inclined toward public policy and careers in diplomacy and that kind of thing. So it's one way we found like a workaround to then going through that portal, because sometimes I think the students themselves get very frustrated with the portal because it just the 1220 and the Handshake portal, because it does seem like anybody and everybody can post in there, and like opportunities aren't necessarily sort of tailored toward them. So sometimes it kind of helps to be that sort of like personalized liaison, if you want to call it that. So
Makes sense.
Thank you, Abby. Any others who use Handshake? It would be great to have some feedback. I'm curious what platforms other schools use. We use a Simplicity platform. So I think, unless there are any other questions, we could wrap up early and give you some time back. Thank you all for being here. And thank you so much to Gwen for sharing this information, but also all the tips and resources. We really appreciate it. I want to share that as you, this is being recorded, so you'll get a recording afterwards. And thank you again for being here.
Thank you.